Alright, we are picking up where we left off with Terra Invicta. In the first episode, basically what I focused on was an early rush strat to try and claim control of as much of Europe as possible. Really show off the early rush in Terra Invicta to take control of as much territory as possible. What I want to do in this episode is focus on a few other mechanics. I want to look at diplomacy, I want to look at economics, I want to look at warfare, all of those things a little bit more, and also some of the other councillor actions beyond just aggressively spamming the control nation button as best as we can. But before we get into any of that, as some people quite rightly pointed out in their previous episode in the comments, I have a recruitment slot open which I should use, and that's also a good reminder that it's probably time to also rotate out my councillors a little bit. So what I want next, preferably, is someone with some decent command skill and some useful abilities. So I'm looking at this rebel here, because the two ones I really want are Assault Alien Asset and I want Coup d'etat. Assault Enemy Space Asset is also a useful one, as is Assassinate, but they use different statistics, although his espionage is okay, but I'm really here for the command. This low administration score and the fact he's got no innate sort of bonuses, that's a real problem. He's a pariah, which means he's worse at persuading in the EU, but that's okay, we'll use him elsewhere. He's apocalyptic, which means he gains persuasion permanently once anyone on the map has used nukes. He's a survivor, which means he's hard to kill, and he's got a low profile. So Benedito here is not, well, he's not perfect, but he can increase unrest, he can purge. The only problem I don't like is that he can't stabilize nations, unlike this commando, but this commando can't do coup d'etats. So my question is, which of those missions is going to be easier to get? So let's just quickly check what orgs are available. IMF, SOCA. I have a feeling. So Assassinate's fairly easy to get. There's a Stabilized Nation one. That's a possibility. So I could grab that in order to get Stabilized Nation. That might be a solution to my problem. So if I grab the Rebel and give him that org, he will be able to stabilize nations, which is what we want. Then we have to, I think, get rid of one of our councillors. Dawn. Dawn is okay at controlling. She's good at breaking into nations because she's ethical and she's a media darling, which is giving us a lot of monthly income. This ethical means that it's a bonus to persuasion. It's eventually going to be a problem, I suspect, but not a problem right now. So Dawn's okay. Rowena is also okay. She can inspire, she can turn, she's got a little bit of... and she's got public campaign, so she's quite flexible, so we'd like to keep her. I think it's Vincenar, the all-rounder, who's probably likely to go. His useful mission here is Purge, which is the mission you use to take control points from someone else, but his espionage stat is very, very low. So what I'm tempted to do here is unequip this agency, which sends it back to our unequipped orgs. We can reassign it in a moment. And I'm sorry, Vincenar, I customized you for a reason, because you've been one of my long-term patron followers, but we'll bring you back in at some point, and I think instead we're going to switch over probably to this journalist. This journalist has good influence income. Administration 0 is horrible, but good persuasion, good investigation, good espionage. These are good stats which we can use to, if we can give him extra missions, we can use those. This administration is 0 is a problem, but we can fix that, and in the meantime we can use public campaign. Let's just check if there's anyone else who might be better. This is again administration 0. So what are we gaining here? We're gaining much better stats on the journalist as opposed to the activist, who has a better mission set. I think we're going to get Leonard, which will give us 2 people who can do public campaign, which makes people like us more. We've got someone who's capable of doing dirty work, which is always handy. We should reassign our orgs to someone. Dawn. Reddington Agency is about investigation. So who's our best investigator now? It's going to be you, but you don't have any administration right now. So no one's really good at doing this at the moment, but we just want it hosted on one of our councillors so that we get the 4 influence and 3 whatnot income. Great, and then we want to pick up... Probably want to pick up Sea Dragon. Oh, she can't take control of it right now because... Why can't she take control of it? Councillor... Oh, she's not government. Alright, we're going to have to wait for another one to come along. I was hoping she was government, but she is in fact criminal. What else have we got here? A plus research one, plus science, life science, money, and influence. We may as well fill out our administrative capacity here. Let's grab the research. In fact, we can just grab everything at the moment. We've got the money to do it, and the organizations are all useful to greater or lesser degrees. We can just unequip these later on. So there we are. We've refreshed our councillor pool a little bit. Okay, so we've got the EU. We can finish forming that up. So we've just brought Serbia into the fold. We can take the last of the Balkan states, which is great. So let's get probably Dawn, who's not particularly good at anything else. She can claim that.
Establishing our
and that's most of what we need to do here done. And then there's the question of the war in Ukraine, because we started in 2022. In the near future, the game assumes that Russia is still at war with Ukraine. We have control of 2 of Russia's armies at this time. There is a 3rd Russian army here as well, but which we can't control. It's controlled by this control point here, the United Russia Party, so the Academy actually has the ability to move that Russian army around, and it's clear that they're not willing to attack without us. So we've got a couple of options here. We could complete the invasion of Ukraine, which just seems like a sad ending to this particular story, and it's also not a particularly good idea because if we annex it into Russia, we're sharing half of it with the Academy. Ukraine does have EU claims on it though, so you can bring Ukraine into the EU instead. So what we might do, even though this might piss Humanity First off, this is a good point to talk about factions, by the way. All factions have different starting alignments in terms of how much they like you or dislike you based on how far away from you they are on the ideological spectrum. Humanity First is 1 step away from us, basically. I'm not sure the game sees it exactly like that, but that's how I find it easy to think about it. They're the more extreme version of us, whereas someone like the Servants is many, 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 many steps away from us. So Humanity First is actually someone who we can talk with, we can get a non-aggression pact with, but at the same time, I'm tempted to bring Ukraine into the EU, and they may forgive us. What you can do is you can use the contact councillor action. If you find one of their councillors to go talk to them and do diplomacy with them. We won't talk to the Protectorate because I don't think they're going to like us. Humanity First, meanwhile, are in tolerance with everyone and they're in conflict with Exodus. So Exodus has done something to piss them off or vice versa. So we're in conflict with the Servants at game start, and I think that's it. In fact, that might not even have been at game start. That might have been because I invaded the Balkans and threw them out. So if we do go into Ukraine with the EU, it may piss Humanity First off. Alright, I'm going to think about that for a moment. I'm going to move my European armies nearby just in case I need them. Geez, sorry about that one. I'm going to delete that in editing. Fantastic. Okay, so what we can do is we can set national priority in Russia.
Time to make our move.
And we can use that to basically peace out with Ukraine. And then what we can do next is we can declare a rivalry on Ukraine as the EU. And we can bring them into the EU. It sounds weird, but that's the quickest way to throw the Humanity First government out and bring it into the EU, is to do it that way. Antonella, we know what she's good at controlling nations, so I'm thinking we need Romania.
Your orders?
Leonardo,
Ready to go.
I brought you on board to start making America like me. Please make America like me because we're we're pretty focused. We've got Mexico and Canada on lock. We need to break into the United States. Well, we don't need to. It's just, it would be a very strong start to have the Russian executive, the EU, and the United States. That's a very strong block of nations. A lot of people have been talking about the different ways they think you can tessellate nations together. You can stitch together a federation of African nations. You can go for like a major plus some offside countries. You can do a middle power coalition where you like stitch together all the middle powers. So you grab Australia. Japan is fantastic value, huge research and good economics and good traits all over compared to how hard it is to take. Like, I think Japan is just a pretty good deal in general. And there's a number of nations that are like that. So you could piece together that sort of middle power coalition. You can base on Russia, or you can do what I'm doing. You can focus on the European Union. But I'm mostly doing this to show off the mechanics and what you can get away with. Awesome. So what are we going to do with our rebel? Because our rebel is basically... Our rebel's going to do the set national priority because he's got nothing else particularly productive to do. And then I'm going to start increasing loyalty. Inspire is a mission that increases loyalty. You don't know automatically how loyal your councillors are. You just know how loyal they appear to be. You have to investigate them in order to determine how loyal they actually are, but I just personally find it better to inspire my councillors up towards the maximum loyalty just so they don't cause me trouble later. Anyway, that's enough talking. Let's go.
I think we had a breakthrough.
So we'll repeat the inspire mission until we go up a couple of levels. Good. European Union armies are regenerating and redeploying, which is a good thing.
Public opinion is moving in our direction.
We'll repeat that mission in the United States as we start increasing this band of public support for us, but you can see it's moving because it seems like others are also doing the same thing. We've unlocked interplanetary warships. People have been talking, can we build ships in the demo? Look, we will try to build a warship in the demo. The problem is when humanity finds out that it suddenly desperately needs to build warships in space, the first projects you get in terms of technology to put up there are basically taking stuff off naval ships and putting them into orbit, which, as you can imagine,
Mission complete.
is not great. Okay, so we're going to seek peace. Ukraine in the Russia-Ukraine war. Done. Okay, so the Russian invasion of Ukraine is over. Life is good, and what we might also do is spend 10 influence to take Russia from rival with the European Union to just neutral with the European Union. We can't increase that again until 14 July 2023. The European Union's armies, so the French and the British armies, are now on the border with Ukraine. All good. Okay, so now we've got the Northern Balkans and Romania, which means we can fold those into the European Union, no issues there.
Your orders.
And we also might use this mission, Defend Interests. So Defend Interests gives you a significant period of time, I think it's like 6 months of protection, during which it's very hard to seize your points. So it's another encouragement to not have too many nations that you consider vital. I'm going to start with Russia because it's more vulnerable, and then I'm probably going to defend interest the EU. And finally, we're going to do that.
Heading to the capital. Securing our control.
Failed the Inspire, but that's okay. We're just going to keep going until that Inspire runs up. All good. 94% chance on campaigning in the US. There we go. We're improving that. Just keep running up the numbers in the United States. You can also see that these guys have defended their position as well, so we can't throw them out of Russia easily. So at this point, Russia's control points are basically static. Throwing either of us out of this position is going to be very difficult in the early game. We're going to unify in Romania.
Policy direction complete.
And we're going to unify in Croatia and the Northern Balkans. And Ukraine has ceded territory to Russia, the east. Now that can happen as a result of some funky diplomacy in the background. We can give that back to Ukraine, but you can blame humanity first for that one. I'm not sure what they would have gotten out of it, but there you are. We might have to, if we want all of Ukraine, including eastern Ukraine, to pass into the European Union, we might have to get Russia to give it back. Okay, residents of a town in the Monterrey region in Mexico are claiming that alien infiltrators are stalking the streets in human forms. Any reports are worth investigating. So we can leave it alone. So Mexico would lose 2 cohesion. It would go from 3.8 to 1.8. And the spread of xenoforming will increase. We'll talk about xenoforming once it actually pops up formally. We can stake out the town. This costs 5 of our 15 ops. And there's a 30% chance of success. Or we can round up the entire population for examination. I think we're going to do that. Okay, so it's actually, that was good for Mexico. We discovered some xeno fauna that was freaking people out, and we shot a bunch of things, and shooting things makes things better. Got it? Awesome. Researching reusable rockets and arrival economics. I want to get to some of these social techs done early, but you can see people are also doing the outpost habs, which doesn't make much sense considering we have no program to go to any other planets
Ready
yet.
for my mission.
But they have a plan. I think we try and give Eastern Ukraine back to Ukraine.
What's the op?
Although we probably only do that when it's actually time to bring them into the European Union. Let's contact this politician from... Actually, no, I won't do that immediately because I don't have anything to trade to them. So I want to be able to trade something to them in order to get along nicely because we're sharing a country. So what we're going to do is we're going to found a platform. I have 9 boost. This lets me launch things into orbit. There are a limited number of orbit slots around just about everybody in the game. Let's show this off for a moment because we've focused on Earth so far. And I'm aware in the first episode we basically focused just on one element of Earth. So here's Earth. Here are the various orbit types around Earth. Low, low 1, low 2. There's the orbits where the Tiangong station and the ISS are. Then there's medium, intermediate, synchronous, high, and extreme. All these orbits have different characteristics. The really low orbits are what are called interface orbits, where if you put stations there, they can communicate easily with Earth and give Earth bonuses. The higher ones, it's easier for ships that are built there or moored there to escape Earth's gravity, but harder to get back to them if you dive deeper into Earth's gravity. Earth has a lot of orbital slots, as you can probably imagine. Whereas if you look at something like the Moon has 24 orbital slots, split between low, which is the interface orbit, medium and high, plus a number of sites, which is where you can set up outposts. You won't know what resources are there until we're able to send a probe there, and that requires a certain tech. And basically, everything you click on in this game has orbital slots and potential mining sites, except for obvious things like the sun. The sun does not have any mining spots or any orbital spots because everything is a solar orbit. So there you are. So one thing I might want to do, even though I'm going to need my boost and I don't have a huge amount of income, is I might want to create a station in an orbit that I don't particularly care about. So extreme Earth orbit is a good candidate, and found a platform. This creates a space station. Tier 1 space stations are really simple. You can build your own from your available modules. You start off with very few modules. You unlock a lot more through the tech tree. And you can do things like build research labs, which will give you research income and bonuses to the speed of your research. So it's not just about adding raw research. Earth is going to give you most of your raw research when you're playing the demo. Absolutely, because the nations of Earth produce far more than you could ever conceivably put in orbit with basic technology stations. But it does give you a research speed bonus, and if you put them into interface orbit, so low Earth orbit, this would, for example, give you a 3% bonus on all your investments in mission control. This would give you a 3% bonus on all investments in the military, up to a maximum of 30%. So if you build 10 material labs in low Earth orbit, all of a sudden all your military science research on Earth is getting a 30% bonus. It's actually quite powerful. But this extreme Earth orbit, this doesn't exist for anything other than We're going to call this Play Nice Station. And we're going to sell it to someone in exchange for
Where do
money
you
and
need
good
me?
relations, because the AI wants to get into space, and because we have boost income, we may as well turn it into stations and sell it off. We won't do it too much, but there it is. We'll wait for that to finish before we go too far. All right, what else are we looking to do here? We don't need to set national priority in Russia yet. We probably don't need to surveil or increase unrest either, to be fair. What's my chance of... I have a very low chance of doing a coup d'etat in Greece. I'm just annoyed with Greece because the servants are there. But alas, there is not much I can do. So what I'm going to do is I will actually contact these guys.
Making contact.
Where to?
Mostly just to see what they have
Where
to
to?
trade. And then we'll worry about actually buying it later. Anna, for the moment... I think Anna can do an advise round, unless she has good odds on actually cracking down or purging anything. Oh, she has terrible stats for that. She's never going to be able to do that. She's got 2 investigation and 1 espionage. She's basically just here to control nations and to advise people. Which means that Antonella is actually an example of a character who we might eventually get rid of. Ooh, Templin Institute's available. She does have good administration, though. That's one thing. So that would give us +3 investigation, bring her up to investigation 5. She doesn't have any great investigation missions. But I'm also, like, not averse. I'm considering stripping her orgs off her and firing her, to be honest. I'll keep her around for 1 more cycle. And she's the only one with enough administration to hold the Templin Institute, which we may as well hold on to, just because I don't want anyone else to have it. I can always undersign it. It cost me 519. There we are. But she may be better replaced with someone who has a better mission set, or I need to find her an organization which gives her some good missions that are based on persuasion. So that there, for example, public campaign. That costs 140 influence, but that would be really good to have, because that would mean that she can become a very effective publicity agent, essentially. So what we're going to do in the meantime is try and be sensible then with how we spend our influence. So I'm actually happy if she does nothing for 1 mission. And I'm going to surveil the United States to see who is trying to
Initiating surveillance.
Who is trying to gain public support there. Actually, no. I'm going to stabilize. So you see this unrest number here. Unrest is just generally bad. It takes away from everything. And I can stabilize the EU. The EU is getting a little bit of unrest because it's expanding so quickly. Same reason it's sort of polarizing. Losing societal cohesion. We've got to fix that. So let's do it. Let's do that for the moment.
I believe they'll stay loyal to the cause.
Initiating contact.
Okay, so what have they got going for them? They've got about as much money as we do. We could do a non-aggression pact, but they're going to want something for it. Let's clear that item. They've already got a bunch of organizations. Some of these we might want to buy. And we might be able to buy some of these if we have a hab to trade. They don't have a hab of their own. They don't have any tech we don't have. So there's some good stuff here that we might want to buy. Plus there's some money, and we could even get a non-aggression pact, which might be good. Non-aggression pacts just mean they won't assassinate your councillors. They won't detain your councillors. They won't crack down on your points. They won't try and seize your countries. They won't stage coups. They won't do anything that's generally a dick move. They'll sort of stay out of your way. And considering that they now have nukes, they have full control of Israel, which means they've got 1 nuclear barrage there. They've got North Korea's nuclear barrage as well. So they're definitely already nuclear armed, which is kind of, well, good job by them. Just check this. Still running Utopia. So
We are winning their hearts and minds.
I might wait another turn or two, and then I'll
Things are
explain a little
stabilizing.
bit about how this economy system works and what my approach is here. Okay, we don't have enough ops to help with the wildfires, so Russia, Irkutsk is just going to burn. That's unfortunate. These things happen. unlocking all sorts of new tech options, but we're really just focused on the reusable rockets this time. We'll switch this one over for when it's time to probably space tugs. Actually, no, we're going to want high thrust probes. And because we're definitely going to win this research slot, I think we can even give a third of our research there. Okay, cool. So we are almost at the point where we have enough influence. Has anyone bought the one I wanted? Ah, okay, they bought the one I wanted, but my organization is in game. So because I was a backer, I got to have an organization named after me, so I'm in the game. So Perun is an organization headquartered in Sydney. I give influence, I give mission control, science income, a little bit of military science, and a little bit of social science, and most importantly, I unlock public campaign, which is what we really want. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to unequip the Templin Institute, and I'm going to purchase and equip Perun, which means that she can now do public campaigns, which means she gets to stay on the roster. I'm also probably... What is her home nation? Mexico. I'm just going to give her 1 extra administration point, which means she can now have 2 extra points worth of org. If she has 1 more, she can take the Templin Institute back. In terms of leveling stats, I find administration is a good leader because organizations and companies are really powerful, and being able to manage more of them is just a good way to accumulate bonuses and income. So that's awesome. That now means that we can now have 2 people in parallel working in the United States. What is our odds there, by the way? Oh, we're up to really good odds over there. We might want to start in the United States. What are our control points? We're just under our cap. We're going to go over if we start taking the United States. But once we've taken the United States, we can pull out of maybe Mexico, maybe even Canada, and use that to support ourselves instead. So, and what are we going to do with Benedetto? Well, the armies here are, what, 62%? I think it's time for Ukraine to get its territory back, and let's confirm.
I think we had a breakthrough.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We can now research the Xenology Lab, which is a cool little lab.
Their hearts and minds.
5% support in the
Violence
US.
is abating.
EU stabilizing. We failed that one, that's unfortunate. They're definitely fighting us for public opinion in the United States.
Culture is nothing more than a qualitative marketing profile. Whether your line
Okay,
is boots,
if you
carbonated
played
beverages, or
Sid Meier
civilian
Alpha
firearms,
Centauri,
your job
and you
is to
remember
develop
Morgan,
products that people will incorporate into
Soren
their
Van Wyck,
identities
the
so
leader
deeply
of the
they can't see where their personality
the leader of the
stops
initiative,
and our branding begins.
his attitude will be familiar to you. So we get to pick where we're going with next. I'm thinking I'm going to go Deep System Skywatch, because that is the mission objective for the moment, and I see no reason not to. And wait for the last one to complete. We're going to cede territory. We're going to release those regions. Let's release them directly to the European Union. There you go.
We'll be ready for new orders soon.
So there we are. So we've used the executive spot in Russia to give away Kharkiv and eastern Ukraine directly to the European Union, which means the only thing left is Kyiv and western Ukraine, which we will join to the European Union by throwing out Humanity First, even though that might piss them off a little bit. Okay, but we will wait for our armies to be better, and in fact, ideally... Oh, those are some good numbers. Those are some good numbers. I think I'm going to drop the 32 first.
Ready.
Standing by. Initiating.
We'll send him to ground just for a moment, just in case he's been detected. We will keep the public campaigns in America going, and we will keep the suppression of dissent in the European Union happening. Okay, we've completed reusable rockets, so we're starting to push this boost income up. We currently gain 3.4 boost a year. You saw that it took about 3 boosts a month, rather. It takes about that much to lift the base of a station, and you have to lift every module. That's enough to lift the base of a station into orbit. So what do we want? Space Dog, Space Tugs. Xenology Lab would be pretty good. Social Science Lab, Space Doc would be pretty good. because it launches probes. But probes can also launch from Earth, I think, which is fine. I am going to, but I'll grab it first. That's fine.
I believe they'll stay loyal to the cause.
Going silent.
He's definitely, we can just instantly change that from space dock to arrival markets. So arrival markets is a tech that means that every month there are 5 additional choices for organizations available in the purchase menu, and they're private corporations. There are techs that unlock additional orgs at the start of the game. You can pretty much get, there's a couple of randoms, and there's also lots of famous organizations from governments around the world, which is what we're working on. We're going to add one more administration point there. So when a good one comes along that she's able to manage despite not being government, which is why she can't get a lot of these. Also, we can't afford some of them. She'll be able to manage a good org. Our criminal can bring on this Russian criminal organization, headquarters in Moscow. That's got some good money income, espionage, whatever. We're going to bring that on board. It boosts spoils, which is not what I usually go for, but maybe that's a good signal that I should talk about this economy system for a moment. So, you remember in Terra Invicta, you play an organization, you play an ideology, you don't play a nation, which means the way you relate to your nations is really up to you, and there are different approaches to take. When you're dedicating resources, what you're basically doing is you're splitting the investment points, so the economy that you do have, across various objectives. Economy is pretty self-explanatory. You spend money on the economy, you make the economy go up. You'll notice that a lot of nations in Terra Invicta don't have much economy growth and maybe even have economy contractions at the start of the game. The assumption here is that when aliens arrive, most governments around the world start scrambling and focusing on, research, space exploration. Everything in this game is happening at a frenetic pace because it assumes that nations are being pretty frenetic in how they address the problem. They're not just engaged in peacetime growth. But economy is how you invest in growing your GDP and thus your number of investments. It does, at least with starting tech, increase greenhouse gas emissions, but it is what it is. Welfare reduces inequality. Inequality past a certain point is really quite damaging. It can break down the cohesion, it can lead to unrest, it can be a bit of a problem. So welfare both addresses that, and also environmental programs are bundled into that. So if you want to reduce CO2 output, global warming can happen. In the full game, global warming can happen. I can tell that by the fact that it's on the global screen. So if Terra Invicta is a game played over decades, that makes sense. In the demo, we're only playing for 7 years, probably not a huge amount of problems, but I still probably want to bring this inequality score down. Knowledge increases your education status, which increases your science. It also has a good effect on fighting corruption and increasing your democracy score, which is a good thing. Unity increases your public unity, but decreases democracy. We're probably spending a little much on it at the moment, but I'm going to leave it like that. Military is military science technology. Spoils is an interesting one. Spoils and funding. Okay, you don't get all of a nation's money. When Joe Biden is elected, he doesn't get to walk into the United States Treasury, take it all, and put it in his bank account. So just because I control the European Union right now, I get some income, but I'm not... I can't just take all of the GDP of the EU and put it into the pocket of the resistance. You do get regular funding. So this is 15 funding per month for each control point we have. So there you go, 90 income per month from the European Union into our pockets, which is pretty good. Our daily income is 2.38. Most of that is coming from the European Union. The way you increase this number here, this is funding through completely legitimate programs. It's people writing funding grants for the resistance, or the resistance winning contracts, or the government partnering with the resistance somehow. It's legitimate stuff, and you boost that by investing in funding, and every time funding completes, so every time an IP gets invested, the total amount of income received per control point slowly goes up. If you want to make a lot of money quickly, you use spoils. So spoils is corruption, spoils is theft, spoils is all those bad things. Spoils is production where It's massively polluting and damaging the environment, but you don't pay for externalities. And what Spoils does is Spoils produces a crap ton of money fast. It doesn't care about the future. It just puts, every time you put an IP into this, I produce something like 400, 500 cash. So I could easily have the European Union producing thousands of cash pretty easily. The problem is it does lots and lots of bad things. It does one more good thing. Elites, the rich and the powerful in any given country, have a percentage of the nation's spending that they expect to go into spoils to keep them happy. If you don't have enough corruption in your country, you're vulnerable to coup d'etats because those people want to throw you out. Some nations in the game start by default with pretty high levels of spoils. China and America and others, all generally around the world, run pretty high spoils percentages when they don't have a CP control. There just aren't many neutral nations left. There you are. India is running 33% spoils. But spoils is crap for a lot of reasons. It increases inequality. It doesn't actually help the economy. It pumps a crap ton of CO2 in the atmosphere. It undermines democracy because corruption is going up over time. So really, while you can do a me and you can try and slowly build and nurture your nations into sustainable growing powerhouses and stick with them for a while, it's entirely possible for you to do something like, let's just say I really don't like Canada. I could just put 100% into spoils and I could burn Canada to the ground just to extract a whole bunch of resources for the benefit of the resistance. Now, the resistance AI doesn't seem to, is probably unlikely to want to do that, so I'm going to be unlikely to want to do that. It doesn't sit right. Even if it leaves my nations a little bit coup vulnerable, but you'll note that some AI, more than others, will use that in order to put cash into their pockets or to defend their nations against coups. So that's spoils. Boost is pretty simple, increases your income of boost, which is rocketry. Mission control is this resource here. Every 25 IPs permanently increases your MC by 1 by building a little control station somewhere. So over here, there's the Columbus Control Center in Western Germany. That gives you 1 MC. MC is used to control stations and ships. So you can see there I'm using 1 at the moment to control Play Nice Station. Awesome. Build army creates a new army. And nuclear weapons is what it says on the tin. If you've already unlocked nuclear weapons, it takes 25 investment points. So the European Union could, I guess, if it put absolutely everything into it, 100% on nuclear weapons production, it could probably catch up to the US or Russia in nuclear weapons in a couple of years, but that's 100% of GDP on nuclear weapons. Like, your country's going to fall apart. GDP is going to go through the floor. Everyone's going to hate you. Your nation's going to be unstable. And if you haven't unlocked nuclear weapons, you first have to do an 80 investment point nuclear research program before you get your first nuke. You can see Iran starts the game with a considerable amount of progress there. And also, some factions really like getting nukes. I've noticed this. So for example, right now, the servants have Greece working on a nuclear weapons program. Where is she? Good job, Judith. You've got Greece working on nuclear weapons. That's a great strat. Keep doing what you're doing. Anyway, I've talked for ages, so let's play the game. But I thought explaining the economy works well. More aliens arriving, and we're in that stage of the game where we are completely freaking helpless against the aliens. Like, if they want to come into orbit or whatever, we can't really do anything about that. I mean, what are we going to do? Send freaking Elon Musk's crew up with AKs? I don't. We have limited options at the start of the game.
Is returning.
European Union is getting really peaceful, which is good. We've still got some economic problems, but we will fix those. It'll start to stabilize a little bit. Let's see how our first control attempt on America goes. Do I want to spend 5 ops in order to reduce? Yeah, I'll do that. Even though I barely have any ops. Lithium sulfur batteries, that's fine. Okay, we've completed the platform core for Play Nice Station. So once you do that, what you could do is we could build additional components, right? At the moment, we have no ability to build stuff in space, so you have to pay money and boost to build stuff on Earth and boost it into orbit. We're not going to do that because we intend to
Prepping
sell
for
that
next
station.
mission.
No reason to do any construction work for them.
We failed to take control.
We failed to control the United States. That is an unfortunate waste of our influence. I'm going to check in on orgs one more time. Nope, no one can hire anyone interesting. So we're just going to keep pushing for the United States, I reckon.
Standing by.
Antonella,
What's the up?
please, 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 because I'm feeding you so much of my influence. I'm going to have to cheap out. I'll give you 58%.
We'll be running this place in no time.
At your service.
He can
Ready for
inspect
orders.
the UFO that just landed.
We'll turn down
We'll get the
heat.
EU down to 0 unrest pretty quickly.
I think we had a breakthrough.
And at some point we should spy on our councillors to see how far my inspirations have boosted up their loyalty. Now come on, no one else has a US CP. I really want to start working on the United States. If we can get the
Things are
United
cooling
States,
off.
that we're in a really good shape. European
Public
Union is
sentiment
looking really
is
good.
increasingly with us.
Crit success in the US, 47% public support. I love it. Oh, and then someone immediately came in. Exodus immediately came in with a big push of their own.
We're taking over.
Okay, we've got our first CP in the United States. That feels good. Which gives us control of the US 1st Infantry Division, based out of Minneapolis in this game anyway. Alright, I think we're going to keep doing what we're doing. United States, we're coming for you. I'm liking this 70%
We'll bring
chance.
this nation to our side.
Standing by for
Just
orders.
keep blaring
Standing
the
by for
propaganda
orders.
as loud as
Making
you
our
can,
case.
my friend.
Ready to
Do
go.
who do we have contact with? We have
Ready for my
contact with
Where do you
Humanity
need me?
First. Unfortunately, well, you know,
Heading to the capital.
the EU kind of
Yeah.
needs Ukraine, my friend. So we could talk to them after this, but right now, I'm sorry, but we're going to reunify Ukraine in the European Union because it's faster than throwing out the Humanity First government and bringing them in peacefully. As strange as that sounds, it does mean that there's more unrest and whatnot, but you know, needs must. Ukraine's also got a severe problem right now. It's in bad shape, and I imagine that's because it got partitioned and Humanity First took over or whatnot. There's a lot of things that could be going wrong. Let's just bring it into Europe and then everything will be better. So let's also defend interests of the EU.
Making things
Just because if
safe
I
for
lose
our
any
people.
EU CPs at this point, I'm basically boned.
Securing our interests.
I believe they'll stay loyal to the cause.
I think that's like 6 or 7 inspires. I think it's going to need maybe 10. Come on, roll well.
We've moved the needle.
6%, I'll take it. Paramilitary violence. Okay, so now we've got paramilitary violence between, I presume, Humanity First ones and whatnot. So we could... I don't want to increase unrest in the European Union. Ah well, we've got unrest in the European Union. It is what it is. Higher thrust probes is complete. What do we want? Interplanetary warships. People want me to make warships, so let's finish the space dock. If this episode is about the economy and basic
direction
interactions like this, then I can make next episode about trying to put something into space. So we are at war, technically, with Ukraine, and what we're going to try and do is reunify it, and then Ukraine will be part of the European Union. Fantastic. And we can
still
do it
lack
hopefully by
support.
the end of 2023. Damn it! Okay. Okay. This is not going as fast or as well as I thought, but we're going to keep pushing.
Standing by.
I'm just going to keep throwing influence at this problem. In fact, I'm going to go as far as
Putting
to throw
our people in
32
place.
influence at this problem.
Ready
What
for
odds can I
orders.
get if I send Dawn in?
Acknowledged.
Where do you need me?
Yeah, I'm going to throw a 62% chance
Standing
at
by
that as
for
well.
orders.
Try and boost them all with a
Reporting
public
in.
campaign. I just feel like
What's
I
the
really
up?
want the US, basically. If I get the US and the EU, then we're in a really good position for this game, and I'm going to have the American military on standby in case the Europeans need a little bit of help. Where do I want to surveil? I'm absolutely surveilling in the United States to see
Eyes
who
up.
is trying to influence
Mission
them there.
cancelled.
Surveying target area.
But I'm not spotting anyone so far. So we're looking for a good boost on public opinion here. First ID has arrived in Dallas. We're just going to send First ID to Europe. It'll take a month to get there, probably won't get there in time, but just as a backup,
We are winning their hearts and minds.
4%, not
How
great.
could one so young,
And there we are, we
tall
finished Deep
as
System
you are,
Skywatch.
by the
So this
modern
is basically represents the
begin to
idea that humanity
understand
has figured out
what
that it needs to
is?
take all those
I did
telescopes
what
and
had to be
things that it
done,
currently uses to
closing
survey the
your eyes
wider
and wishing to
galaxy,
punch them
and it
away.
needs to point that
Only
shit
makes you an
at
easier
various
meal
places in the solar system to
from
see
Hans
what's out
Castillo
there.
during a war crimes trial.
And what that does is instantly means you detect alien facilities in the solar system. So what we see, and I'll just have to pick another mission first. What do we want to do? I think we won't go straight to principles of warfare. I'm tempted to go a rival domestic politics, because people might later on want me to show some super nations beyond just the EU if I can fit it in within the 7-year time limit. And we can do alien origins. Great. So once one of these finishes, we will do that. What we can now see is that, as well as, because you now have Deep System Skywatch, you've got pretty good visibility. So we can see that the aliens are sending currently two gunships and a destroyer to low Earth orbit. It seems like the small ships are mostly crash landing onto the planet. I don't know why. We haven't actually seen anything happening other than those crashes. There's a destroyer, so some sort of larger ship is coming in as well. And then there's, what's this over here? A frigate with a smaller combat value, but looks like a decent size to it. Sorry, that has been, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show that or not. And then way out here, way out here at Halmia, it looks like there is an alien station. There are 2 alien surface facilities. Let's get in and have a look. So Victor 7, alien station Able. Looks like it's got some battle stations. So they've clearly started construction out here. And you can see Earth is a long way out. This is way out in the far reaches of the solar system. And if we look at the crater, it looks like the aliens have some small a mining complex and a fusion reactor out here as well. So this is where their base is. This weird little oblong in the far reaches of the solar system seems to be where they've based themselves. And there's a number of ships on their way towards Earth right now, and there's nothing that I can do about it, because right now I'm focused on Earth politics.
With each passing day, humanity shatters the bound.
Okay, advanced magnetics has been
We've got our
researched.
people in
Alright,
place.
2 points in the United States,
We're taking over.
3 points in the United States. Fantastic, we're halfway there. 1st Marine Division and 1st Armoured Division are under our control. That's fantastic. We are now going over our cap again. That is okay, because once we've got the United States and we don't need the influence of Mexico anymore, I'm probably going to release Mexico. So, if we can get 2 more control points, we've
Bringing
basically
them on
confirmed that
board.
no one else will be able to get the United States, because we will have everything except
At
for the
your service.
executive. So I'm going to
Acknowledged.
plow so
Putting our
much
people
influence
in
into
place.
this in
Where do you
order to
need me?
make it happen. Meanwhile, Rowena, I can actually remove your non grata trait, which means you can go to the United States now, and you can contribute by being
You
another
must persuade the
public
people.
campaign.
Where to?
Where do you need me?
So
At
basically
your
right now,
service.
basically
We'll
100%
make
of
our
our
appeal.
effort almost is going into either
here.
convincing Americans that we are the best, or actually taking over. In this case, we're now targeting mass media. So we're gonna take over Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, like all of that is going to belong to us. And then also we're going to try and get a majority in the US Congress. Not a bad approach. Now, we didn't spot any good councillors. I think last time there wasn't anything showing up in the US. So is there anywhere around the world that is looking a little bit suspicious? I might go scout Japan, see if we can identify who that is. You can see the servants now have pretty much full control of Japan, with the Humanity First controlling just the Diet.
Initiating surveillance.
The problem is Benedetto doesn't actually have great stats. Okay, here we are. Images of obvious alien military ships and structures in the far solar system have dashed hopes worldwide for peaceful contact, because why are they sending a whole bunch of warships at us if they come in peace? Many who wish to seek an avenue of cooperation with the aliens are changing their views in light of some of the first hard facts about their arrival. The road ahead is fraught. So, the Academy, because the Academy is like, oh, they come in peace, we will treat them as equals and shake hands. So, the Academy gets absolutely smashed. Half their control points in the world suffer the crackdown effect, which makes them very, very easy to take over. The Academy suffers a massive loss of public opinion around the world, and all nations' cohesion moves one towards extreme values. Basically what happens is, let's pick a nation where the Academy is pretty popular so I can watch this happen. They have like 14% support in Europe. They have 42% support in Algeria. Hit this. Ouch. Look at that. All those people got basically shoved to the protectorate. So basically they're like, well, if we can't, peacefully coexist, then we should find a way to appease them instead. So the Academy starts with, I've noticed this, the Academy seems to start with pretty good popular opinion around the world. They're popular in places even like the United States, and they start the game with the International Space Station. So they start in orbit with a fully functioning orbital, well ahead of everyone else. But as soon as it becomes obvious the aliens don't come in peace, they get hit by that event. So that's brutal. And I'm happy because it kind of, the push towards extremism meant, because everyone went one step more extreme, or a lot of them did, a lot of my supporters defected to Humanity First, because my people were already thinking they should resist the aliens. Now that the aliens seem violent, they're like, man, we got to kill them. So that's a bit of a problem. Thankfully, it's not as bad in the United States because I was less popular in the United States.
We failed to take control.
Damn it.
We've gained significant
Alright, we have 4 of 6 control points in the United States. 1st Infantry Division has arrived in Warsaw. We will send it to reinforce. Oh, we can't because the Americans are not at war. That is understandable. As soon as we take over America, what we will do is we will sign a military alliance between the European Union and the Americans. We're also probably going to unrival Russia. So we're getting close. Space docks are complete. Let's research... Ooh, Alien Origins, very expensive. I'm going to research interplanetary warships first. And, because I'm sure people are going to want me to do it, I'm going to found a platform in low Earth orbit 2. Now, shipyard is a bit of a generous term for what this thing is. Now, this thing costs 8 boost. Oof, that's expensive. I was hoping to use that to go go to the moon or something. But we'll wait for this station to complete. And actually, no, let me know. Do you want me to focus on showing you how to get to other places, like the moon first, or do you want me to try and get a warship out? I think the better approach is to go to the moon or Mars and save up our boost for that. But if people want me to build ships, I'll build ships.
Where to?
Okay, you probably know where this is going. There are 2 control points left in the United States. We're going to go for it.
Establishing control.
Ready to go.
Standing by. Bringing them to our side.
We're not going to spend our time inspiring. We're not going to spend our time defending interests or suppressing dissent. We're not going to spend our time going after any other faction. Remember, I am almost... August, September, October. I'm almost a year into this game, and I have basically done nothing hostile against any of the factions except for I invaded one nation in Europe just because it was in my way, and I'm unifying Ukraine. So I've pissed off the servants and HF a little bit. I'm not doing anything to slow the AI down, which means the AI will be establishing itself elsewhere. But I just think it's worth focusing on getting the best economic base I can first. Where am I going to surveil? I know I could go talk to the servants, but that seems like a terrible idea. And I'm not good enough to assassinate him. Unfortunate. Otherwise, I would have considered it. Don't think any of these are necessary right now. I could target a purge action on Greece. That's expensive. That's a 53% chance that I get a Greece CP, because Greece is addable to the European Union as well. Okay, so we've done arrival markets. Let's go... We're going to go outpost core because we will need it eventually.
Good luck saving the world.
Project Exodus is talking to us. Okay, they want to trade. They want to buy me. They want to buy my organization. And they want to buy reusable rockets. So, it makes sense. Exodus's gig is they want to industrialize space, build a massive spaceship, and leave. So, what they're going to focus on is getting as much boost and resource production in space going as possible, which makes sense for why they want reusable rockets. And to buy some of my boost. I don't have a problem with selling that to them, actually. What I'm going to offer them... No, I don't want to give them Shipyard 1. Why can't I give them... I'm going to have to figure out why I can't give them the one that's in extreme Earth orbit. Why I can only give them the interface one. Maybe that's a mistake. Maybe I need to build things in the interface if I want to sell them, but that does seem strange. They'll give me a non-aggression pact. I have no interest in fighting them. I'll give them reusable rockets. They don't have a huge amount of resources. They got some ops. I'll buy 5 ops from them, and then do they have any cool orgs that I want? Monthly boost income could be cool. I've got 4.8 at the moment. They don't like selling that to me though, because they value the boost. This is all just monthly income. So they're getting a lot of money from their orgs, presumably, to make up for that. Plus 5 influence per month could be handy, but we're doing pretty well on that. Small economy bonus. Look, let's see if I can buy the boost org from them. The plus 2% economy is not huge, especially not over a 7-year demo, I wouldn't think. So I'm wondering what else here I might want to pick up. I mean, how's my monthly money? 137? I could go up like by 42. No, they don't want to do that. Alright, this might be all I get. So there we are. So we gave them some technology, and they got what they wanted. Let's level up some councillors at this point, and we have unassigned stuff. So we can give Mazar Financial. That gives admin, so you can support more organizations, but it costs money per month. I don't like it. But she can hold... She could hold Templin if I pull one of these off. So if I unequip that, I can equip Templin. And then over here, we could go equip both of these. So that's increased my boost, because we've also got a commercial rocket company adding to like the European Space Program and all that, and we're in a pretty good place. And what I really want is good news from the United States.
We've moved the needle.
Public campaign happened. Hijacked. A hacker has taken control of a major payload we launched. So we can pay the ransom, or we can pay 3 boost. Well, that sucks. That sucks. That's about a month. That's half a month's worth of income. We don't negotiate with criminals. There you are.
People will come to our side.
Okay, United States, we have majority support. When was the last time the majority of the United States agreed on much? Well, they agree that we're pretty great. And hopefully that means we're going to take the Congress and the White House. Makes sense, because we've got the media and corporations and everyone agreeing with us. European Union takes control of Kyiv.
We've got our people in place.
Oh, that was a great turn.
Our
Okay.
associates were unable to take control.
So we failed very, very badly in Greece. People don't like us, and the servants are going to be pissed off. But Ukraine is now part of the European Union. which is pretty fantastic. We're going to have to smooth things over with humanity first at some point. Although, if they do get mad and start leaving the EU with their other nations, then we can show them the peaceful ways of the European unification process by force, especially now that we have the US Army. And we have all 6 CPs in the United States. I must be pretty broke on influence at this point. Yeah, absolutely. I'm paying 35.8 upkeep per month to hold all that together, which means it might be time to abandon Mexico. But first, priorities. Perun Utopia. So we want boost, we want mission control. I'm wondering. I think at the start we're not going to go massive all out on military research, but the United States is definitely the best candidate for leveling up miltech. I'm not sure with the 7-year demo how much that's going to have huge payoff, but once I get a little bit of extra boost in MC, in fact I might even just lose a little bit of the MC and just focus on boost, I might cut more of this down and move to like 15% military investment. I think that's the go. Alright, let's do maybe 1 or 2 more turns and then wind this one up, because it will have showed the themes that I want, the economy and whatnot. The United States has some issues, by the way. It's a very, very good nation. It's arguably the best nation in the game, depending on what you want. There's arguments between whether China's higher GDP, which means the United States China has more investment points to play with, more GDP to play with, and also it has huge growth potential. Whether that's worth trading off for the fact that the United States starts with a lot more research, a lot more mission control, it's a developed economy, whereas China is a developing economy. But it starts with a couple of problems. The first is it's got high political polarization, it's sectarian. This represents the fact that national unity is breaking down a bit. This is a problem, it can lead to unrest. Inequality is pretty high, so you probably want to fix that. Part of this is driven by the fact the United States, like most nations, is running pretty heavy spoils at the start. By cleaning that up and adding some welfare, hopefully by cutting out some corruption and lobbyists and whatnot, we might be able to fix the United States economy a bit. But for now, what I'm going to do is just find someone who can use protect interests. And I'm going to lock in the United States so that no one can take it from me. I'm going to go back to doing inspirations. Let's inspire Antonella. She deserves it after all that. And then we need to think about where we're going to go next. And I think the best options... There's a possibility to go for Kazakhstan because of all that sweet boost.
Mission.
Kazakhstan right now is a small nation with an active insurgency. It's got very high levels of unrest, very low levels of social cohesion, so it's very, very vulnerable to a coup d'etat. So we may actually think about, just in case, moving our militaries over there in case we need it. Let's de-rival... Let's make Russia no longer a rival of the United States. European Union and them are allies. That is good. The EU can unify with Britain in December. That'll help with our CP limits. Antonella, I think... because we kind of want to complete the EU, which means looking at things like the Baltics, which means looking at things like Slovakia, if only so the map looks nice. The servants absolutely need to be thrown out of Finland, but Finland's super peaceful and cohesive, so a coup there is going to be basically impossible. But we might, stage a public campaign there and see if it helps.
Ready to go.
We could also start increasing unrest if we wanted to throw them out of Finland so that people are more likely to do so, but for now, I think I'm going to take another shot at Greece and see if this causes them to overreact, spend their influence and defend the point. And Leonardo... I think also public campaign in Greece. Let's run this turn.
Making things safe for our people.
I think we had a breakthrough.
Spire mission critical success, fantastic. Interplanetary warships is complete, so we can now design some ships. But I won't do that this episode. I'll save that for next episode. I'm going to go for Xenology Labs, or I'm going to go for the objective. I think I'm going to go for Xenology Labs. outpost core, arrival domestic products. Looks like people are researching mission to the moon, so I'm absolutely bailing on this, or jumping in on this rather. So the mission to X-Tex are what allow you to send probes and then eventually settlements and missions to objects. And right now, the rest of the world has decided to do both mission to the moon and mission to the Mars at the same time. These are the two earliest mission to techs. So, I'm absolutely going to get in on this if I can. I note that no one has researched any technologies that actually make that useful, but it's going to be a bit of a rush for real estate. So I want to get as much boost as possible. So what I might do is just get a little more boost investment. Do I need supply depot? I don't think I do. I'm going to start on alien origins.
Public opinion is moving in our direction.
Okay, we're winning the public over in Finland. More aliens are arriving. We're rolling the Russian army over towards Kazakhstan just in case. More aliens are dropping on the planet. And I am throwing so many resources and a good operative at an unentrenched, so non-defended CP.
Are now in charge.
And we've managed to get it. So we can now target the executive. Okay, Shipyard 1 is now constructed, which is great. Is there anyone that we can contact? There isn't, so this will be our last turn. We'll investigate alien activity.
I will tell our
No, we won't. What am I doing? What am I
Ready for
investigating
orders.
alien activity with him for? He's my
Waiting.
purge guy. Purge just being the term for trying to take a CP from someone else. And we'll dial the influence investment up to 16 for a 79% chance.
Ready.
We'll boost
Where
that by
to?
public campaigning in Greece
Ready
twice,
for my mission.
because I would like Greece to
Ready
join the
for my
European
mission.
Union,
On the
and
way to the
Dawn can
target
go
site.
scout the alien.
Their loyalty remains questionable.
If you want to send your armies home, by the way, and you don't want to manually order them there, the airlift home button does the job, so we can send the 1st
Public
Division back to the
sentiment
UK.
is increasingly with us.
Public sentiment.
Okay, so we've boosted a lot of public support in Greece.
Yet still the regulators
Mission
drag
to the
their
moon
heels.
is researched.
Maybe it's time I treated the president.
Okay, now, I'm going to talk about space next episode. If this episode was about war, the economy, those sort of systems, I'm going to talk about space a lot more next episode. But what I'm going to do before I forget is I'm going to launch a prospector probe to the moon. It'll take about 16 days to get there, and what that does is it reveals which of these sites have what level of resources, just in case you want to put an outpost there. Now, the servants have pulled Greece out of the European Union. That's unfortunate because it's going to take forever to add it back in because of the diplomacy cooldown, but we kind of knew that was coming. What am I going to research here? I think we'll just start getting the research labs. They're useful. Evangelical leaders in the American South are calling on their flocks to support the ideology of humanity first. Well, there you go. The evangelicals in the US are saying, take your
Recon
guns and hunt the aliens.
The opposition remains in power.
Which, to be fair, is not a position the resistance is inherently opposed to. Okay. So I think we're in a good place. We've sent a probe to the moon. We'll pick up there next episode. We've expanded the EU a little bit more. So we've added a few more countries. We've brought Ukraine in. We've secured the United States. We are now hopelessly over our control point limit. Like hopelessly. I'm spending 40 influence per month, a third of my net influence income just on maintaining what I have, which is a big ask. But if I hold on until December, I can merge the United Kingdom into the EU and bring my maintenance down a little bit. I've got to think about where to go next episode, but I think I'm now in the situation where expansion can be a little bit slower. If I go much further, I'm going to have severe upkeep problems. But with the United States and the EU, I'm now producing 1.4 thousand science per month, which is pretty bloody good. If I look at what the other factions are doing in terms of science, I'm doing 46, and the nearest competitor is doing 14. Now, that's not because the US and the EU have almost all the science on the planet. They've got a lot of it. The problem is that the AI hasn't been able to secure the 177 in India or the 271 in China or a lot of the other research that's up for grabs on the planet yet. Oh, damn it, the servants have Australia. Crap. And Japan. I like Australia. I don't want my home to worship the aliens. Anyway, that's enough. I'll stop rambling for the moment. I'll chop this episode here. It's long enough. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll be back soon, and I'll showing off the space side of the game a little bit more, and of course following the crazy events on planet Earth.